Hello, Charlie here. This is Rule the Waves 3, which we will be playing. Rule the Waves 3 is by a company called Matrix Games. They do a lot of war games, World War 2, World War 1, Cold War. I think they do some modern ones as well. Supreme Commander Matrix games, it might be, I'm not too sure. But yes, this is Rule the Waves 3, a game about picking one of 10 different nations in 1890, and we take the role on as basically the head of the navy, the Grand Admiral of the navy. So in our capacity as the Grand Admiral, we will be at the mercy of our government when they wage war on others, but we will have some leeway in being able to dictate stuff, but sometimes we'll be at the mercy of random events and such that will guide us along. I've always read after action reports and such. This was very cool, so I thought, why not make my own? I have about 50 hours in this game, so it's funny. 50 hours is quite a long time, but I don't feel that I'm great at it or expert. For first game, I just played like a couple hours as Austria-Hungary, just to see what was going on. And after that I switched to Italy here. Italy was fun, simple, easy. You just have the Mediterranean to handle. I got up to 1941, and there's a few events in the game which kind of guides the game towards the World War II, with switching the government types of the Axis powers to become fascist, and then increasing their tension against the Allied powers. So we had like a big World War II. And then I wasn't fully great with the aircraft carrier aspect. So we had this huge fight against the British. I lost my super heavy battleship, 2 other battleships, and 2 aircraft carriers, all in the Mediterranean to the Dawn Brits. But it was fun, and I went to go back in and play, but I couldn't. The end turn was grayed out. I think it's because I pressed resign because I wanted to see like the statistics that come up. So I think when you press resign, it kind of bombs your game. So I'm never going to press resign even just to see the statistics. So I thought instead of a new nation to play, and my initial thought was going to be China actually, because who doesn't like playing as the underdog? I feel like everyone who plays a war game, well, I mean most people, I think that sometimes it's fun to play a game and you're playing as the superpower. In this term that would be the British, or with the later start the Americans. Or in a World War II game you may play as Nazi Germany or the USSR because they have a big army. So I thought, why not play China? China sounds pretty cool. However, I found out that this game has some predeterminism with it. So every country here, in the files they'll have a development score, and then over the years the development will increase. It makes sense. GDP goes up over the years. However, some countries have higher starting point and higher growth than others, which makes sense as well. It's like Spain would never be able to kind of keep up with America's steel production. It doesn't have the same amount of people, the same amount of resources. However, I discovered that China is kind of disproportionately affected. China has people, China has the resources, but its development path is kind of matching the real timeline, in which shortly after this, Imperial. Well, let's have a look actually. When did they get ousted? Yeah, it was like 1917, I think. The Qing dynasty got ousted. It might be in like 1910. Yeah, I think there was like an intermediate period between King and nationalists taking over. But it went from the King to the intermediate period with like warlords, then the nationalist government under the Kuomintang with lots of more warlords, and then the first and second Sino-Japanese War, then the Chinese Civil War, all in this game's time frame, and that obviously affects their GDP, their production capability. But as a bit of a sandbox game where you can take over other territories and defeat other nations and such, if a player plays as Japan, then they're not going to follow that same period of civil wars and such. They're going to probably beat the Japanese. They're probably going to maybe keep out the European powers out of the Pacific and such. But they still have the very bad economy, even though the game's took a historical turn. So I found that aspect of it to not be very fun. It would be fun to play as the underdogs, but there's no reward for playing as them because their path forward is kind of predetermined. They will always be the underdog, no matter what you do. You could own the entire world, you'll still be the underdog. So I kind of defaulted to my favourite nation to play in World War II naval games, which is Japan. They're fun, they're kind of isolated, so they're a bit safe. They're also a reasonably sized power. So they're not like a superpower where you have to worry about crushing others and not having fun. And they have like an end game boss in terms of the Americans in this game, in terms of the British as well, the Salt. And at the start they also kind of start as the underdogs, which I thought was quite fun. So this, and as the background might has clued you onto, and the title, we're going to be playing as the Japanese Imperial Navy throughout the time frame of this game. I understand that it can go to 1990. I think we'll stop at 1970, especially because it doesn't seem there's more tech after then. Maybe if there's a war on, we'll finish it, obviously. So yeah, as I said, I got to 1941, so I got like, is that the start? I guess it's like the middle of the carrier age, then get to the missile age. Doing the missile age will be fun, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. So, because I've read a little bit about, what goes on a bit under the hood, with the development and such. And reading about some other things and guides and like the Steam, I realised that there's some ways of playing which, well, as any war game, it's not a war, it's a game, and so there's elements of the game that you can game in World of Waves 3. I understand that you can kind of game the raider system by making the raiders have like one gun and like one knot, but have like extreme range and silly stuff like that. So what I think we'll be doing is we'll be trying to play in like a kind of roleplay in our capacity as the Grand Admiral of the Japanese Imperial Navy here. So we'll be trying to make decisions that kind of make sense. Won't be doing silly gamey stuff with ships, like the raiders, which have one gun, one speed. Tech exists in this game as well. Obviously, we start the pre-Dreadnought age, and we're going to go up to the carrier age and missile age. We don't know what the future holds, so we're going to try and not, as best as we can, try and not like game with the future knowledge. Going to try and stick with some stuff like the other nations do, although I feel that may be hard to do because the temptation to make a fast battleship that would outclass others would be very high. But yeah, that's how we'll be trying to play. As well, our development score, which affects our budget to make ships and naval bases, aircraft, everything, is mostly predetermined. There's a bit of a way of increasing it. If you win a war and you choose to not take over colonies from your enemy, if you win, you'll get war reparations, and war reparations will increase your development, which is good because this will kind of compound over the years, and so getting more war reparations at the start will increase your GDP, or rather GDP, your GNP, the game naval budget. And so by increasing your development, by getting reparations, you'll get more money in the long term. So if Japan was to win a war with China, they would kind of definitely take over territory, but we'll try and also get reparations as well instead of going gung-ho on territory, because we want the growth as well. So as Japan, there's 10 nations in the game: British, France, Spain, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Italy, Russia, Japan, America, China. However, there's only kind of 9 present in the game at a time. I guess this is quite funny. I guess they had a limitation with the UI. And what most nations do is that they will either get rid of... Ooh, actually... Oh, that's so funny, actually. I thought most nations either got... I thought if you started in Europe, most nations would get rid of China, because that's what Italy did. I noticed, like, 10 years in, there's no China. And if you're playing as, like, America or China or Japan, then Austria-Hungary's got rid of because they're minor power, and obviously after World War One they stopped existing in the real timeline. But it seems that Spain gets rid of Russia as well, which is quite funny. Yeah, it just seems that Spain that gets rid of someone else. I find it interesting though that America has China and not Austria. Sorry, has Austria-Hungary instead of China. You'd think it would have China in, but so it is. So, game setting. We'll be playing not on super large. Super large. This setting sets a factor of 8 for your budget. Yeah, it doesn't show it here actually, but changing that number there will change the GMP, the budget that you get per year. And so the super large one, that's 8. However, I've read that to get more like historically accurate fleets, you kind of want 12 or 14. I've looked at a video of a size 14. I did not like the idea of micromanaging that many destroyers, especially into the divisions. So we won't be doing that. But we will be starting on this one, and then we'll be editing it, or rather we have already edited it to be size 10. We'll be playing on slight tech variation. I don't know anything about considerable tech variation, but I thought Swipe would be funner. And we have harsher piece deals on, because while I was playing Italy in my bricked save, the game pushed... It's funny because the top layer of the game kind of is just the politics and tension and everything. It's just there to push you to war, to get you to the main core player gameplay, which is the fleet battles and such. However, even though that was the case, it felt like going to war, there was no real point. Although at the time I didn't know about the war reparations increasing your GDP. It was just that whenever I took a colony, I was like, okay, this barely boosts my budget, but now I have to like station a cruiser here, and that colony will probably pay for it, for that one cruiser over the course of the game. That doesn't seem worth it. And then I have to defend it, I need aircraft at it, it didn't seem worth it. And so we'll try Harsha Peace Deal out and see how it is. I've already made the save, or game rather, and edit it, so we'll go into it. As a note, as well, we'll be playing on Captain's Mode. Now, I will be playing on Captain's Mode, but we'll be playing as if it's not Captain's Mode. When I started playing Italy, it was fun, but I found there was a lot of micromanagement with the different divisions. I was like, in battle, I was like, I'll just automate that, and that was fun, and that was good. However, there were a few, more than a few, it happened a fair bit, where I would have my frag division, as that'd be the battleships, and then the leader of that frag division would be 2 damage, probably because they're in front, so they're more likely to get hit. And so I'd send it off, I'd detach it and send it into port. But doing so would cause, eventually when it left the radius of the others, it would eventually cause everything else to just go on automatic and then follow it into port. And there's no, I couldn't really see a way to stop that. Yeah, which was very annoying, because I can remember 4 or 5 times it kind of bricked me in a fight when my entire navy just decided to run into port after the freeing flagship. So we've been playing on Captain's Mode to stop that. So we don't have the radius, the communication radius that we have to worry about. That's the main reason. There might be a second one. If we need a destroyer squad to go do something, maybe we want them to go around the back, because we know there's a straggling ship there, or maybe we want them to go where we think is a ship or scout there, and not have to worry about the communication radius. We'll do that as well. Oh, I didn't know about this option. Battles with pretend. Oh, that's interesting. I've never. That's funny. I've never actually seen friendly fire on this. I guess you really should read the options. Maybe that's a good idea after this recording to go read them. Yeah. But that's what we'll be doing. Captain's Mode. We'll go in. Okay. Go to full screen. Okay. So this is the game map. While playing this, I kind of got heavy Aurora 4X vibes, especially from the design interface, where you have it's like ship spreadsheet simulator almost, which is fun. So here we are. We start as Japan. We have the home islands. What I found interesting though, while looking, I noticed that Hokkaido is not considered a home province, so Hokkaido can be invaded. So we have to take some special care to not make sure Hokkaido is took from us. So we have the home islands, and we have Japan. We have Japan, we are Japan. We have China next door. We have Korea. Hopefully we can take over Korea with some events. Looking at the situation right now, we have no Russian fleet at Vladivostok. They are all at the Baltic. They've got a lot of ships. They don't have much basing here, but they have enough basing from Vladivostok, which is a home province, so we can never take it. But they have enough basing there to station a fair amount of forces. So don't have to worry about them now, but in the later on, sure. So, as one may guess, our nemesis, at least for the early game, and our punching bag will be China. Hopefully we don't become their punching bag, especially because they have more ships than us, which is a bit spooky, a bit spoopy. So let's have a look at our situation a bit more in depth. So I was kind of inspired by looking at Dickie's RVT video series about Germany for this game with PowerPointing. I feel like if you're playing a spreadsheet simulator, it's only fair to PowerPoint it as well. So let's have a little look at our PowerPoints, shall we? I have a special attachment to the Hosho. Whenever you play like a World War II game as Japan, you'll always be greeted by the Hosho as the aircraft carrier. So Hosho has a special place in my heart. And I have a model of the Hosho as well that still needs to be built after like 3 years. Okay, so this is the state of the world in 1890. World navies. I'm going to have a little look here. Obviously the UK has a lot. Germany as well. Kind of a lot of cruisers, light cruisers. I believe at this point in history, they didn't have the arms race, the naval arms race that they did with the UK, so they're still a little bit underdeveloped. But obviously, we have France, second top dog. Russia at the time, also a bit scary, a bit top dog, since this is before the Battle of Tsushima, where Japanese wrecked the Russian Far East Fleet and parts of the Baltic Fleet. USA isn't the Leviathan it is yet, it's still growing. Italy and Spain, minor powers, same with China and us. Kind of a minor power right now. It's a bit scary when we have 2 pre-dreadnoughts compared to China's 5. To make up for it though, we do have 11 light cruisers. We have 7, 8 light cruisers and 1 less corvette. So, even in some ways, worse in some ways, better in some ways. Relationship tab. We can kind of see friendly with British. I believe at the time, Japan and Britain had a bit of a naval cooperation going. Like the Hosho was like down in British docks. We don't like the Russians and the Chinese very much right now. It fits with the original timeline. And yeah, that's kind of it. Some people are unfriendly, but not so much that they're going to be immediately going to war. Although some will be seen by the random events. Geopolitical rise, we don't have any allies. We could get allies with the British. The others we'll need some more work on, and the question would be, would they even be able to help us? Spain? Do Spain have the Philippines? Spain do have the Philippines. So Spain can actually help us a little bit, because they're basing in the area. France have Indochina. France can help us as well. I'm not even going to check again for the British, but I'm pretty sure they have Hong Kong, so they can help us with basing as well. So these 3 can be present, Russia can be present, but we're not going to be able to ally with Russia. Well, neither will work. Italy, Germany, they're not going to be able to help us. They're just going to drag us into a war. China, the same reason as Russia, China is going to be one of our opponents, probably considering the tension. So Russia and China are the people we have high tension with right now. It can obviously decrease or increase. Same with the others. But what I'm thinking for our goal, we don't want to challenge Russia right now because they have a big lead in ships on us. Now, they're not going to be able to dump everything as far east, but even if they dump half of what they have, it'll still be a bit scary. So I think we need more build up to fight them. Or an ally in Europe at least. That's where a German ally might be very good because they could blockade the Baltics. Or at least keep them distracted in the Baltics. So if we're going to war with China, relationship wise, they kind of hate mostly everyone else as well. And that's something we have to be a bit careful on because if they go to war with someone else, suddenly we could be allied to them, which may be good, but we don't really want them taking a piece of China's pie. So we'll have to be a little bit careful with that, and careful with allying in general, at least until hopefully the First War of China's done. Or maybe we do get an ally of the UK, because then the UK could trans China for us. But we'll see, and that'll be our concern with the UK getting some spoils of war from that, which would affect our future prospects. So the state of the empire and the navy in 1890. We have the home islands. The only real danger now is by Qing China. Don't have any colonies. Hokkaido's a colony, but for the empire, it is one of the home islands. And we want to get some Chinese colonies. Our development. Going to see how it tracks across the ages. See if we get any good booms, especially from war reparations. We have a few coastal batteries protecting Japan, which is good. We have 2 4-inch, 4 6-inch. 4 6-inch are good. However, I'm worried about where they spawn, because obviously with the shape of Japan. Well, I guess actually in the battle generator, even though we're fighting China, the battle generator could spawn us in like in the Pacific on the other side. If it only spawned us in like the Sea of China, then I'd be worried because some of these may be on like the opposite side of Japan and they wouldn't be of any help whatsoever. But I'm cautious about whether these are going to be helpful, especially because when I played Italy, I didn't find coastal batteries helpful in the slightest. Maybe they help with our colonies. I think they do, and especially with. Oh no! Oh no! The technology. I don't know the hotkey to go back. Yes. Is it? Yes. Just arrow key. But in like some Chinese colonies, I don't know the Chinese name for Port Arthur, but ones which have like one possession in them, all the batteries would be spawning around that one port, which would be very good. But in bigger ones, like thinking like East Italy, there's like 3 ports, and it's spread out along the coast. They could spawn anywhere on the coast, so it's less helpful. But we'll see. Don't have any new tech yet. The Navy, we have 2 pre-dreadnoughts, 1 armoured cruiser, 2 in the making, same class. 11 light cruisers, 5 different classes, 1 in the making. 2 corvettes, like heavier displacement corvettes, and 4 lower displacement corvettes, which I'm calling gunboats. We really need to increase our pre-dreadnought production, especially when looking at China having 5 here and 1 in the making as well. Otherwise we kind of have like parity. They have more they have stronger corvettes, we have stronger light cruisers, same amount of armored cruisers in the making. And with the note about China, we have a attention report to the two classes of interest for us. We'll go for the worst one first, which is the corvette. Interesting because they strangely have a 1x, they have one 10-inch gun, which can be quite spoopy, and they're also heavily armored, like 7 belt. I'm not sure if the intelligence can be false, but this seems to make a note of. They're very slow though, and it's forward facing. So what we can do, we can just respect it when we see it, and we can maneuver about it to the sides, get behind it. It won't be a problem. And then the battleships, the pre-dreadnoughts, the Ting Yuan class, much more impressive than the little Peking class. Not so much impressive, but dangerous because there are 5 of them compared to R2. Not only that, but the gun caliber, 4x 12-inch, it's quite scary. 4 12-inch guns, 2 6-inch, 8 2-inch. The 2-inch not very important. They have some torpedoes as well, 8-inch belt. Torpedoes can be, I found that they can be quite important in the pre-dreadnought age because you're getting so close to each other that if the torpedo, and the torpedo protection is very bad, so if the torpedoes hit, then the dreadnought is probably sunk. Oh, that's a bit weird. I must have missed saw. Oh, actually, we'll check, because I have oh, they do have a 10-inch belt. Oh, okay, that's worse than I thought. They have a much bigger belt than ours. But I guess because you're going so close, it doesn't matter too much. But we'll need to see while making our guns later to make sure that they can penetrate the 10 belt. However, hope isn't lost because we can make better dreadnoughts. We'll have to get them made probably in the British shipyards though. They also have this weird turret configuration, cross-deck turrets, which means they have a 4 12-inch broadside, but shooting cross-deck, the what would you call it? The fire range is limited cross-deck, so it may only be 2 12-inch, and not only that, but they have a blind spot in the back, which may be helpful, especially with our faster cruisers, and maybe we can get them torpedoed. So that's the 2 important Chinese classes that we need to be wary for their legacy ships. Now onto our ships, the fleet design of the legacy IGN fleet. We have the Fuso class, pre-dreadnought battleship. We have 2 of them. 6400 displacement, 14 knot, not great. Low displacement, and the armament is even worse. 2 9-inch, not good. Only good thing is it's pretty much full broadside. 6 8-inch, the 6 8-inch is good. I like that. Oh, I must have written it wrong here as well. This should be 7-inch belt. So the secondary is good, 6 8-inch, especially at the start of the game. You're going up close because the accuracy of the guns at long range is very small. So at least the secondary is good. Doesn't have any torpedoes though. That is, for me, that's a problem. Especially while playing as Japan, because pretty much for every country in Warm, they kind of have like a mythologized version of themselves, or things that they're good at, things that they do. For example, if you're playing a World War II game, you would imagine that Germany has something about rockets and tanks. You would imagine that America had something about their industry, about their navy as well. For us, this is something I forgot to do before, but I can't really do now because I've gone into the game. But our traits as the Japanese Empire, some of this is expressed the sort of mythology of the country is expressed through the traits and the technology advances. Our traits as Imperial Japan, we have an underdeveloped industry, so it means our ships take longer to build. That's not good. I imagine it will go away because it doesn't really fit that we have that, especially like in 1900s. You know, at this time, 1890, I can see it. We also have a bunch of buffs to our research affecting torpedoes, which fits because I feel like part of the mythology for Japan is the torpedoes, the long glances. Are they called Type 87 long glances or 86? Yeah, so we have some buffs to our torpedoes, easy to research them. So we'll be leaning more onto our torpedoes as part of our kind of roleplay aspect as well, because we want to lean into what our country's good at. We have kamikaze attacks if we're fascist and losing a war. That doesn't sound great because we don't want to be losing the war, and it doesn't affect us until like much later on as well. So that's that. Back to the fleet design. They have cramped accommodation as well, which means we may not be able to sail them to the South Pacific, South Asia, to get them in South China region, but we'll see. We should make some new class, a different class, because the Fuso isn't great. Probably make them at the British shipyards. They need speed boost, they need the gun boost, torpedo boost as well. However, what we could do with these two Fusos is we could actually rebuild them, and just clicking rebuild would increase the speed to 15 knots, and it would barely cost anything, which I think we will do. We could rebuild and replace machinery, which would add, and we could add a torpedo to each side. That would cost a lot more just for one torpedo on each side. I don't think that's worth it. But definitely we'll be rebuilding them for so cheap, just to get the speed up by one. I'm not quite sure why, but we'll take it. Next is our heavy cruiser, the Izumo class. Izumo. We have one making, one made, two making. They actually have a heavier displacement than the Fuso, much higher speed as well. Cost a lot more though. The cost in the parentheses is their total cost. This one is the monthly cost. The armament, kinda better. I like it for armored cruiser at this point. However, of note though, oh no, this does not affect us, because we have a -2 quality 8-inch right now, but the British do not. They have a -1, so that does not affect us right now. The armament's kind of good. They have torpedoes in the cardinal directions, one left, one right, one front, one back. They have a 4-inch belt as well. I like it. We have 200 this construction for half price, which is good. So we'll definitely keep them. I like them. However, I think they could be much better. I feel like we could lower the speed a bit, and the secondary ornament, we could boost it to 12 6-inch. Maybe we get another inch of belt. Maybe we add an extra torpedo on each side as well. We'll see how that goes. Next, we have 5 different light cruisers in our navy. We have 2 main lines that we have in our legacy fleet, the Izumi and Unabi. The Izumi, with 4 of them, they have lower displacements, 20 knot speed, actually very cheap as well. But the cheapness is kind of reflected in their armament. They're not particularly well or good in the armaments department. 4 5-inch guns, 4 4-inch guns, 8 2-inch guns, which is not great. I'm not sure, but I doubt maybe the 5-inch can't even penetrate a cruiser's belt at like even close distance. But the better than nothing. The better than nothing. So you know we'll be happy for them. Next is kind of the star of the light cruiser lines, the Unabe, with 5 of them, bit heavier displacement, same speed, high cost, but the armament is reflected in the cost. 2 8-inch primary, 6 6-inch secondary, 10 2-inch tertiary. However, this is a bit of a problem here because as I mentioned before, our 8-inch gun is a -2 quality. So these are kind of equal to our 6-inch -1 quality guns, which is not good. We could think about building them at a foreign port, which would increase the utility of them in the future. However, it's not too bad because we'll be able to rebuild and upgrade the oh no, we cannot upgrade -2 quality guns, so there's no plus side whatsoever to that. I feel like if we make any more, they'll be at the British shipyard. And they have of note, they also have a 3-inch belt, which is kind of nice. It might protect the book against 4, 5, 6-inch. Not too sure on the 6-inch, but probably. And they have a nice selection of torpedoes. In our lineup, at least with the Izumi and the 4 and 3, they're good. I'll be happy to make some improvements to them and make some more of them. Specifically increase like maybe the secondaries, add some more torpedoes. We'll have a look at the belt and see if we really need the 3-inch belt. But so far the Unabi is solid kind of start point. And next, we have 3 different kind of experimental light cruisers from the Legacy fleet, which we have 1 of each. The first one is the Hashidate class, much heavier displacement, 21 knot speed as well, so faster. Much higher cost though. It costs twice as much as one of the Izumi classes, which is it really worth 2 of them? Well, there's a good armament. 10 6-inch guns, 8 2-inch. The 10 6-inch are good. That's a little bit of a lower deck belt armor though, which may or may not be great. I feel 2.5-inch would be good, would definitely be good. Torpedo rides. There's 1 on each side. To be honest, I don't really care about the aft and stern torpedo, so I'm kind of happy with this, with the broadside torpedoes. Comparing them with the Unabe class, we don't really care about the extra deck armor because they're fighting at such close range that it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, they have worse torpedo capability, but it's not too bad because it's on the aft and stern, so it's okay, I feel. They have slightly better armament as well and more speed, but much higher cost. They approach the cost of our heavy cruisers at 26k, with these being 21k. I don't think they're worth it compared to the Unabe class because they're much higher. And I realised while talking about this that this is irrelevant because we cannot upgrade -2 quality guns. But I feel like it's there. What we'd want would be probably a mix of these two, the Unabe and the Hajidate. But the next two aren't so great. The next experimental one is the Takasago class. Small displacement, small cost, similar to the Izumi. So we kind of need to compare it to the Izumi. And it's basically just the worst version. The gun capacity is really bad. 6 4-inch guns, 6 2-inch. Not great at all. At least the Izumi had the full 5 inches. So this is kind of just an experimental failure. And the last light cruiser we have is a Lashino. We don't have it yet. It's actually making. Bit heavier at 39k, 3900 displacement, 21 knot. Bit more expensive than the last one, but comparable to the Unabe a little bit cheaper than the Unabe. However, the ornament to the extra displacement went to the speed because the armament is really bad. I feel it's very bad. 2 4-inch, 10 3-inch, 8 2-inch. Has 20 guns, but the 20 guns are not good. Against gunboats and corvettes, it would be okay, I guess, because they don't have much armor. But we did see that China have like the two 7 belt-inch corvettes. So even then it doesn't really help us much because it only help against the 3 corvettes that China has. So we get like a really bad bang for our buck with these 3 inches. We could just get an Izumi class for much cheaper and it would just be better. It would just be 1 knot slower, but it'd be so much better on the armament department. It also has the 2-inch deck as well, which I don't feel, especially because we're going to short range. This is kind of another failure, experimental failure. It's an RQ, so I feel like we should actually just scrap it. I feel like scrapping it would be for the best. To save us some money. However, there's one thing to factor in. We'd be getting it for half price. And it'll be done in, I think, 10 months. So if we're going to war with China, we would have an extra light cruiser to kind of throw into the sharks. Something to think about. I think we'll scrap it. And of note, we have 2 corvette classes. We have the Sado, 2400 displacement. Corvette, comparable to like a bad slow cruiser. I believe it's also cramped accommodation, so we can't send it to the south of China as well. Then we have the Matsuri class gunboat, 900 displacement gunboat. Nothing too special with either of them. We just have a couple of them in the Navy. So looking at the budget of us in 1890, we have a monthly budget of just over 11,000. It's going to fluctuate over the year. Hopefully it will go up as tension rises. Spending just over 1,000 on maintenance, just over 3,000 on construction. We have 3 things being constructed, the 2 heavy cruisers and the light cruiser. The light cruiser's like 600 of this. So I really feel it should be scrapped. I spent about 900 on research at 8%. We'll be boosting it to 10%. Could go to 12%, but with the diminishing returns, I feel like we need to be as efficient as possible as we can. Especially because we're starting as we're in an underdog position here. So our expenses totaled up 5,500. Monthly balance about 6k. Yearly balance about 71k, 72k even. For the next 3 years with this, and with these being completed, and this would rise, but I haven't factored that in. Just with this, for the next 3 years, the money we would have around to play with would be 290,000. So what could we do with that 290,000, especially because we're going to be wanting to go to war with China? Well, we're looking at making new ships, obviously. Making new ships, expand the dockyards, look at our doctrine, because we're not using half of our expenses, and increasing the research budget as well. Would be interested in making a new dreadnought design, pre-dreadnought design, and making an improved heavy cruiser and light cruiser design as well. The doctrine, though, we have 4 different doctrines of use. We have gunnery, improves accuracy; damage control, improves our reducing damage taken during battle. We have torpedo, increases accuracy and damage of might just be accuracy of torpedo, might not be damage, but increases the accuracy of torpedoes. And night fight. Now, as Japan, we also have a special, I forgot, but now I remember, our special trait as well. Doctrines cost less for us, which is great. So we'll be trying to use doctrines. Definitely use the torpedo doctrine, because that's what we're about as Japan. But for now, we won't use the torpedo doctrine because it's not that useful. We don't have many torpedoes, and the torpedoes we have aren't great as well. We need better torpedoes, and we need more of them as well to make it worth our fuel. So that leaves us with gunnery, damage control, and night fight. Gunnery, we're going to be fighting in close quarters, so I feel like it wouldn't be too helpful. Damage control could be helpful. I feel like that could definitely be helpful. However, our pre-dreadnoughts will have the same speed as the Chinese pre-dreadnoughts once we just quickly refit them for like the refit on them is like 100 per month for 3 months to get them to 15 knots, so cheap. But they're the same speed, so they're not really going to be able to get away to make use of the damage control, and torpedoes would be basically insta-kill. So that won't help with the flooding as well. But maybe that's the point in favour of the torpedo doctrine. Yeah, the more I think about it, I think I will use the torpedo doctrine. It might not be worth it, but why not? Why not? We are Japan. We do have the booster torpedo technology, even though it's not coming into effect yet. And we get the reduced maintenance cost on doctrine use. And a lucky torpedo hit would take out one of these pre-dreadnought Tian Yuan class pre-dreadnoughts that the Chinese have. So I feel like we will do that. Night battle, maybe in the future. I think that'd be our second one in the future. Battle gunnery. So looking at our 290,000, how are we going to spend this for the next 3 years? Well, we can spend it on pre-dreadnoughts, the Fuso class, or making a new one, Izuma class, heavy cruiser, or make a new heavy cruiser, new and improved one. Probably wouldn't get the benefits of basing it on the Izuma though, with the amount of changes we'll make to it, but we'll see. Same with the Unebi, could you remake some of them, or try and make an improved design. I don't think we'll be able to get the discount, but we'll see. We'll make some Corvettes. I don't think we need any gunboats right now. I think we definitely need dreadnoughts. These are the monthly and total costs of them. These are kind of like maybe the expected cost. I feel like this total is actually too low. Yeah, I feel like, well, no, I based it off the Izumo actually, so maybe it's about right. These are kind of the costs and maybe the expected costs of the new designs, and in order to help with our with mathing it out, because we could take this number here and we could see, okay, how many times does 2100 466 go into it? That's not very helpful for grants, you know. So we're going to kind of standardize it into what I'm going to call build points. A build point is how many of our cheapest ships that we want go into it. We could make 41 Corvettes with this. 7,000 goes into this number 41 times, about. And the others are based on this. So the Fusilier as a build point cost are 3, because 7,000 goes into 21 about 3 times. And then same with the others as well. So theirs is based on the Corvette. So we have 41 build points to play around with. Looking at our ship production, we definitely need to make at least 3 to be parity with the Chinese, or rather 4, because they're making 1 as well. So we'll need 4 new pre-dreadnought class. Hopefully it wouldn't be parity, we'll actually be stronger because ours would be newer as well. Although they probably wouldn't be able to benefit from any tech, but there'll be more heavy gun at least. I'd want to make 2 new heavy cruisers as well. I feel like that might be kind of good. And while looking at this, I'm kind of feeling that our current fleet should be like at the end here, just to see what we have. I feel like we should have 2 new heavy cruisers and then some new light cruisers as well. The Corvettes and the gunboats. I'm not really feeling it. I feel like we could just get a light cruiser instead of a Corvette, and it would have better guns. I don't see why we would make a Corvette at this point, unless we wanted to put a 10-inch gun on it like the Chinese have. However, this takes us to 35 build points, so we have like 6 left over. This doesn't account for like growth or fluctuations or like yearly growth. So we're going to have some money to spare for dock expansion, design making to make these new ships as well. And we'll add in some, maybe like a new, another light cruiser as well, here or there, if we can afford it. Because we kind of want to get a bit of a bank as well, just so we can have that to fall back onto. Not huge, because if it gets huge, like approaches the yearly budget, then the government will start taking it out 5% at a time. So that's money just lost. So we want to save a little bit of a bank, so that when we go to war, we can fall back onto it and ramp up production. That might be where we make the Corvettes actually. We ramp up the production of like smaller Corvettes so we can get them early on for the war. And that's where the small bank would help us. Yes, and that is kind of it for the PowerPoint presentation. I guess what we'll do right now is we'll go back into the game, we'll increase the research budget to 10. We'll do Torpedo Warfare Doctrine. It doesn't cost barely anything. Oh my gosh, that's so good actually. Usually it costs 20%, which would be about 240. But this seems to only cost like 12% with our Chinese trait. That's actually so good, and we'll definitely, in fact, actually, oh, we can't use damage control. That might be research. In fact, that is so much cheaper. I think we'll immediately, because we can't do damage control. Night fighting, I don't know how. I don't know exactly what this will do, but I'll find out in the manual. But for now, 10% accuracy it'll help us out. So we're not going to be paying 600, 700. We're going to be paying 370. But we'll have that. We'll definitely have that. Goodbye. And that is great news right there. Well, research as well. We're going to put everything to low because this is all standardized. So every tick, every month, 1000 is going to be put into all of these equally. Probably some, I imagine, behind the black box, some variants. So what we're going to do is we're going to designate some as medium, some as high. We want our torpedoes here. They're not. But we want fire control to be higher. Fire control is universal, so it will affect every ship, even when they're made. Same with projectiles, they'll affect every ship, even when made. Oh, there's torpedo. Yeah, we want torpedo. Ah, they have advanced there. So we want these three as high, I feel. We want better guns. As medium, we'll be making some of the big ships in the British shipyards, probably. What else would we want? With fire control. We probably I'm not sure. Savings. We'll be fight. Ooh, no, here's a thought actually. Oh, if we're gonna go kind of cruiser heavy, we might have a lot of fire shells, especially against their battleships. I feel like that's something that should be put on medium. All low ones. Turret and gun design, I feel. Same reason as naval gun, we'll be using the British for that kind of damage control. Same reason I mentioned about damage control doctrine, we can't really make good use out of it. And then the three at the top. The three at the top are usually weight savings. They don't affect current designs, they'll affect future designs. I like armor development. Armor development's good because we want better armor. We want to get the basically the only knowledge I have of this game is Krupp's armor. It's like tech 3, I think, and Krupp's armor is good. I feel like we have too many things on high though. We'll put AP projectiles to medium. I feel like that's a good compromise there. 3 medium, 3 high. And yep, we'll have -2s, which isn't great. The 6 -1 though, that's kind of okay, at least that's saving grace. What we'll do now as well, I guess, is we'll also do the intel on China. In the future, when more techs have been discovered by the European powers, maybe we'll spy on them to hopefully get some tech steals. That is that. Coastal defenses. Didn't we talk about we talk about what we had, but making some. I feel like I'm not sold on it with Japan. I'm not sold on it. Well, actually, before that, I want to see. Where about is it? Up is. No, we're gonna try and make some base overview. Yeah. Yeah, it's for the entire island. So, as I was saying, they could spawn anywhere. So I'm not sold on having them. Whereas if like we were here, Port Arthur, they'll just spawn at Port Arthur and down me. But it is important, so I feel like we'll get some more, and then I'll leave it there after making some more. Oh my gosh, I was just on this menu. Japan, both photo vacation. Now I don't know how these actually work, but I would actually assume they actually use our tech for it. Assume they use our tech for it. Oh, so we actually do want some at Hokkaido, yeah. We want some at Hokkaido. It's gonna say 4 inch. Bit of a monthly build cost there, 4 inch. Say 6 2-inch. And then we already have plenty, so I feel like we'll add 2 or 6 inch, and maybe we can, if it turns out once we look at the ships that we don't need that, then that can be something that we can just hold. And they're made in 6 months anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. We'll increase our docks as well. Okay, and only leaves us with much less to play around with. So that naval expansion plan, that 3-year plan, well, it's kind of still there actually, because it only takes 6 months to make, but we'll see. I feel like I've talked a lot. I've waffled on quite a fair bit. So we'll end this episode here. For the future episodes, I'll try maybe release every 3-4 days, twice a week at least, or at the very least once a week. I have a lot of free time. Try and make them a bit longer maybe. At the end of every, not the end actually, at the start, to match with starting here, we have the start of the year review where we do the PowerPoints again. If situation changes, we'll look at them as well. Okay, so next episode we'll go design our ships. Maybe that'll just be a short one about designing ships, mainly because it's actually my birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday to me. So I have birthday and I have stuff to do as well. So that'll probably be a short one just about designing the ships. I'd hope as well, maybe there's some comments given some comments about ship design, like what do you think we should go for, because just going to go into it quickly. What I think I want to do is increase this to 12. I'm going to increase it further, but then we run into a penalty where the rate of 5-second guns is decreased by 20%. Now I'm not interested in mapping it out to see if the 2 extra guns outweigh the 12, and I say that, but it actually doesn't, because you're adding 2 guns but you're losing 12 times 20% gun speed. Oh, actually, well, you're using 14 because it says 14 as well. So yeah, I don't think it's worth it. Mathematically, I don't think it's worth it. And even if it was worth it, it would be diminishing returns, so I would not want it. that weight could be put better elsewhere. So yeah, we'll leave it here then. Yeah, if you've liked me waffling on with my shitty mic, maybe playing as China was more appropriate for my Chinese headset that I have on right now. Then yeah, leave a comment about what you think we should do with our fleets. This is our legacy fleet, but this is our legacy fleet on size 8. The legacy fleet is not adjusted for size 10. So we could expect much more building up as well, comparative to this. So leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao out. Bye bye.